are not as bad as it were back in the years. A lot of them are surviving, a lot of them are doing great things. It does not take away anything from who you are, it does not reduce who you are at all. As a matter of fact, I was corrected by a friend who is also living with this sickle cell anemia that she is not a patient. She is not a sickler, rather she is a warrior. And I have such people seated here with me, you know, all the warriors in the house. We have a regular warrior. Let me let you do the introduction.
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Deva Mom, and it's a delight to be with you this morning. Like Elizabeth said, we'll be talking about sickle cell disease, sickle cell disorder, sickle cell anemia, whatever you want to call it. The focus today is on sickle cell disease.
Okay. So,
My name is Afiz Adeyemi. I'm a filmmaker and actually a sickle cell warrior as well.
okay.
And, yeah.
Nice to have you. And I know you have a bit of your film here today, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. It would be nice to see it later as we go. All right.
My name is Sheo Mohammed. I'm a warrior too, a chartered accountant, and an author. Yes.
Wow. You write books.
Yes, I wrote a book for now, planning to write more.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm going to talk about you writing, see an accountant writing books. I don't know if it's an accountancy you're writing about or how to help me make more money or get more accountable. But all of that will take a break quickly. And when we return, the whole discussion will set in. So let's do a quick break.
When there's a child out there that's not getting the same that your own child is getting, the difference will tell, and there will come a time in the society where that child is going to take his pound of
the child. You can start off the conversation from something on the TV and say, oh, you know.
For me, it's like, hurry up with this business. And the other one said, Auntie, it's not about me, it's about the guys. They're not ready to marry.
Yes.
If she wants to ask something, no, I know my mother very well. In fact, the most interesting one is when I put up pictures on WhatsApp, you know, Snapchat filters and all that, she will call me, remove that picture. There was a day I got tired of all that and I said,
You know, by the way, still conversations. I'm always tempted to jump in immediately and start talking because that's what we do here. It's conversations, and you mentioned earlier that we're going to be looking at sickle cell disorder, sickle cell anemia, sickle cell disease. When you were, you know, streamlining it, in my head I was going, what's the difference? When is it a disorder? When is it a disease? When is it anemia? I don't know. Can you enlighten me?
I really don't know myself, but I know that the terms are used interchangeably. I recall mentioning one time, I said something about sickle cell anemia, and somebody corrected me, a medical practitioner corrected me that no, it's a sickle cell disorder. And then somebody else said it's sickle cell disease. So I just mentioned all the plethora of names, whichever one works best for you, whichever one you're most conversant with. That's what
I notice you're
about
laughing.
today.
What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the same thing anyways. The anemia, I think, is because we know every sickle cell warrior is anemic.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's where the anemia comes from. And the disorder is just the blood being sickled, being misshaped, which makes it
Okay, that
disorder.
shape that
yeah,
we have.
which makes it the disorder part of it. Then the disease is the actual fact that everybody assumes it's a disease anyway. So I think that's where the mix-up
All the titles.
comes from.
Okay. So whatever it is, that's what our focus is. Now, what I usually wonder is, you know, how did we get to that level? And a lot of times they tell me it's about the genotype, you know. I am not going to be asking about genotype as at your parents because I know it's none of your business. It already happened. But I'd like to know, the three of you are warriors, and I've known Devon particularly for a very long time. And in fact, the early days I knew her, the only thing I know is that she was always in the office. She never breaks down. What is the magic?
Oh, I was breaking down.
We didn't notice.
That's because, well, I'll be eternally grateful to the NTA structure. In the earlier years, right up, I was with NTA for 12 years, but a certain mix of, incidents in my life now led to depression, which in turn affected my health, my physical health, very badly. So in the years before I started having frequent physical or health challenges, I had a very good run of, very good health. I had a grueling schedule and I'd keep up with it and everything. So the people I was working with, my bosses in the office already knew I had a very good work ethic. So when my health challenges started becoming more frequent, they were sympathetic. They were able to accommodate the situation and they gave me all the support system I needed. I was given the privacy I needed. It was never, if anybody in the office knew I was ill, it wasn't coming from management. It was me telling my friends or colleagues, this is the reason I've not been in the office and so on and so forth. So it was well managed. And that was because whenever I am not ill, I'm giving my 110%. My program never fails. If it fails, then it's certainly a circumstance outside what I can control and so on and so forth. So I had a very good work ethic. And the bosses I was working with really appreciated that. So for those times when I wasn't well enough to do what I needed to do, I always had a support system. And the kind of entity NTA is, it's not possible for one person, it's a family. So whenever somebody falls down the crack, there's always people to cover up and keep you looking good, and nobody really knows what's up. But I know that toward the last 5 years or so before I left NTA, I was constantly in and out of hospital.
I was here with you, but I always said, this girl, what's her problem? She's always on air.
I just had a very good support system.
She's so much of a Jackie.
No, I had a very good support system.
I know that with all the things that a lot of people fear about the SS people, you have been up and about. You're a filmmaker. And you didn't just get up and you decided to make film. You actually went to places. I know you were in London.
Yes.
You were in New York Film
Los
Academy.
Angeles.
Even one of Jos, all in a
For my bachelor's and everything, I didn't really get into much of the practical aspect of filmmaking yet. But until I traveled to New York and LA, which was where I studied a short course, then moved to LA for my master's degree, which was more of an hands-on. It was that moment I knew, okay, I could do this. I was more of an editor, laid back, just sit at the computer and just do stuff for people and everything. But as I started evolving, I realized I could do almost every aspect of filmmaking.
you could call the shots.
Yes. So I started doing cinematography. Then I felt, okay, if I'm editing and I can call the shots, then definitely I can do the directing as well. So when I got to the New York Film Academy in LA, we were opportune to do our own individual projects. So which is where those ideas came in to start, okay, I'm a sickle cell warrior. How can I tell stories that reflect my reality. And I felt, okay, God has blessed me already. I have the tools. All I have to do is just to make it work. That's all I needed. So from that moment, from my first 2 short films to my feature film, which I did in recent times, I was somebody that even when I fell ill and I was discharged from the hospital, the moment I got home, the next day I'm back at the office. I'm working. They complain a lot and all of that, but I kept telling them that I would rest when I die.
You rest when you die?
Yes.
That's
So
a
let me
tough
do
one.
whatever I can do now. And because of the mindset or the idea that people have when it comes to sickle cell warriors, that okay, your lifespan is limited and all of that, so you felt okay, you need to rush and do science things and make things work, let people see you, leave a legacy and all of that. So I think that was what pushed me the most, and I was lucky as well to have people that I worked with. They were incredible people, and I have my own company as well, which made it easier. And aside that, the family.
What's the name of your company?
Epitome Studios.
Epitome Studio.
Yes.
Okay, it's a production house.
It's a production house. So we decided to do that and produce whatever I needed to produce. And my focus was solely focused on sickle cell because I needed a way for people to understand what we're going through.
Did you also try to act in the movie?
No.
It would have been nice to see you in it. Director, I know you have a bit of that movie. If you're ready with it, kindly let me know so that we can see a bit of what he's done. Are you ready? Okay, so let's just see it at once.
Untrue. I've told you that. Don't you understand? It's not going to come true in my lifetime.
Mommy, kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ now, mommy?
It is not going to work out like that. You had better give yourself a rethink now.
Daddy. Timba gbọ́ daddy lẹ́nu ẹ̀.
She be like father, like son.
He took after you.
Oh.
He took after you. A very stubborn and inconsiderate child of yours.
Well, he is his father's son now.
Eh?
He is your son.
Ọmọ ẹ̀ ni. Ẹnu ẹ̀ láwà yìí.
Ó wà bọ́ lórí títì ni. You, agbẹ́ni kọlu ni aláǹgbọ̀rọ̀ èṣù. I will show you. Kí ló dé tẹ́yìn ẹgbẹ́nu sílẹ̀ ń bẹ̀ kẹ́ bá sòótọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀ ń fẹ́ yín? Àbí? Get out of my parlor.
Why did you choose to hurt me this way? Oh, but why? Why?
I love her so much, Mom.
So much more than me? You love her to the extent that you have to hurt your own mother, a dead woman walking?
Mommy, say all you wish, but those words won't change a thing.
What kind of a girl? What kind of a girl will force her way into a man's life and separate him from his family? And then you talk about loving. I'm hurting. Is this what she wants?
Wow. Afiz, you actually did that?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there any expo somewhere? I really felt touched. But for me, I don't know. I should just say, Congratulations in a big way, in capital letters. You can actually see me spell them out. It's lovely. We'll get to talk more about that, but let me quickly move to Ms. Mohammed here, who is an accountant turned writer as well. How has the journey been for you?
Well, like any typical warrior, it has not been an easy journey. But for most of us, what drives us is that ambition, that determination that, look, we must not give up. No matter the struggle we are going through, we must survive. And happily enough, I have very supportive parents, family generally. So all these things aided in my struggle. And by the time I start working, like Divan mentioned something about good work ethics, that really played well for me. I was with Daily Trust.
You worked with them?
Yes, for almost 18 years. I was the GM Finance, General Manager Finance. And honestly, the environment that I worked made things very easy for me. From almost immediately I joined the company, I have free access to health. Unlike, even before they approved that same facility for their staff, they already did that for me. So working in such an environment makes your job easier, and of course you don't delay things. Afis was saying something like, whatever you want to achieve it on time. That thing goes for us, that look, whatever you can achieve today, don't delay it tomorrow. And that's the style with which I work. You can't bring a file to my table, then you find it lying down. Except some that demands critical thinking, you want to sleep over. But all my work, I clear my table every day. So these are the things that help us, yes, on our work side. On our medical side, and we were sure, oh, my doctor said this, I have to keep to it. Even though we find out something about our crisis is that no matter how you are meticulous with all the regiments that you should keep, the crisis still comes. But then, you always have this, I have a life to live, I have a goal, you keep on moving. So that is how we've been able to survive it.
So I'd like to know, how did you go into writing? Because accountancy, great, is, and unless you're telling me you're writing about accountancy?
No, even, even my taking a career in accountancy, I would say is because of my sickle cell.
Really?
Yes. Actually,
where is the correlation?
I studied accounting in the university. But after graduation, I left the university in 1990. So after graduation, at that time, not the same thing as obtains now. Passing ICANN exam is really a difficult thing for you then, because the way the whole thing was structured. So I asked myself, after the stress I went through at PFA, do I still want to sit down reading books again? Of course, I was working in an accounting firm. Along the line, I have these nasty complications of sickle cell that I was bedridden for almost 2 years.
Wow.
I spent almost a year at University College Hospital in Ibadan. Went through surgery and so many things. So by the time I came out of the hospital, I have to start physiotherapy. So that was the only thing I was doing at home. And that was how I told myself, look, with my situation, my best bet is, if I'm in accounting, if I'm an accountancy profession, I know that my movement will not be much if I'm in business. That was how I started reading for my ICANN exams. And believe you me, at the first sitting, I cleared my paper.
Wow.
And that is the can-do spirit in we warriors. We have that. Yes, many of us, we do go through depression, we've suffered it several times. Hardly will you see a warrior that will not tell that at one time or the other he or she was having depression. But at the same time, always come out of it. So look, back to my story. After passing my exams, I started working at an audit firm. Because one thing for us, we always want to have this required period that you should practice so you can have your own license too, that you can start your own firm. So after I've been able to do that, I joined Daily Trust, that media trust, and joining it was wow for me, honestly. And I went there with that work ethic that look, whatever I can achieve today, I should not delay it tomorrow.
You know, I'm going to take a pause on that and come back so that you can link me up to how you move from accountancy to writing. I'm interested in the book, especially if it's not in accounting. I don't know how to account. So let's quickly take this break. When we come back, the show continues.
This vaccine is safe and it has been certified safe and usable by NAFTA.
There is a lot of fake news and report circulating, especially on social media, on the coronavirus. Do not believe or partake in the spread of these fake reports. If it is not on the official website or news from the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, disregard such report. Only together can we beat this virus. Only together can we overcome this pandemic. Follow the instructions and guidelines provided to combat this virus. Most importantly, stay at home. Self-isolate, regardless of your status. The virus doesn't move unless we move. Let us work together to better Nigeria. Together, we can do this. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
All right, if you're just joining us, you haven't missed much, but you've actually missed a lot too. It's conversation, and our today's focus is on sickle cell, be it disorder, disease, anemia, all of it put together. And we have in the studio warriors who incidentally are all my friends, and they've expressed how they've been able to conquer, and they're doing great things, which is why they are the warriors they are. Now, against all odds, you worked as an accountant, you have written a book. I still want to talk about that book. What is the title, and is it about sickle cell as well, or accountancy, or just you?
Well, my book is titled I'm a Survivor.
I'm a survivor?
Yes.
Okay, it's about sickle cell.
Yes, the story of my triumph over sickle cell pains.
That's your personal experience?
That is my personal experience.
Okay.
As growing up as a sickle cell patient, as a warrior. And actually what motivates me to write the book is for quite some time, I've been having this idea that yes, I should write. But when I left the service of Daily Trust in 2018, I now do more sickle cell advocacy. I interact with people within the sickle cell community, some foundations. I find that I was involved more in counseling. Through this counseling, I keep on repeating my own stories to motivate others. Because like I said, most of us are going through depression. I tell my story to motivate them, and I see the reaction, the improvement in them. From there, I just look, why don't I just document this? And that was how I started the writing.
So you can reach out to some other people who are not able to meet
Look,
you one-on-one.
This is what I went through, and these are my own survival techniques, which I believe if you try, it will work for you too. Yes, it's also a motivational book. That whatever the health situation or whatever the challenges you are going, you can surmount it.
All right, you have been exposed to a whole lot of people, you know. What is the most trying thing for them? You know, most other warriors or patients, as you call them, what is the most challenging thing? Because this year's theme actually says shine the light on sickle cell. That means give it enough publicity. And NTA, in our strides, we've taken the bull by the horn to be the champions, to, you know, set the pace rolling for other people. And I want to use your voice and advocate, you know, to find out the, you know, touching problems of other people out there.
Yes, I'll say the challenges are multidimensional.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just one issue. One, I'll say sometimes people accepting us. We find out that we face so much discrimination.
Discrimination?
Yes, in the society.
Really?
That one is there.
You actually think that?
Yes, it's true.
Wow.
We face so much discrimination in the society. But if you go for a job interview now, no matter how good you are, and you mention that you're a warrior, honestly, if they are saying, yes, this is a good person for us, that one will count against you. In most cases, not in all cases. Because I can always say my own case, I thank God for it. That is one, that discrimination. Then issue of access to health is still a challenge to many people. You know, like I said, I joined so many foundations. And what I find out is that for people to be able to go to hospital, sometimes we may have to be contributing, this one donating 1,000 naira, 500 naira to get them. In fact, if I may be allowed to say this is one of the things I seek out to achieve with my book. Like, look, on my own part, the process of my book, from the launching I'm doing, I want to sponsor 100 sickle cell patients.
Oh, you're going to launch the book?
Yes. I want to do that, okay, let me get indigenous sickle cell patients, 100 of them. Let me put them on NHIS. So at least this one will go a long way in helping them have access to health. Because one thing about us, delay, someone is in crisis, the next thing the person needs is to be in the hospital. Get all the necessary medication at that time. But by the time you are delaying, it could bring so many other complications. So access to it is also a very key challenge. So those are for now. I think for now, my colleagues may have other ideas that they want to say.
Okay, and maybe I should turn back to...
Yeah, those were some pertinent points he mentioned. For my part, I never had issues with, like, you know, moving from one job to the next. Like with NTA, I served and was retained. Although they knew while I was serving that I was genotype SS, my work ethic, I'm sure, played in for me. So I was retained. When I left NTA, I went to the BBC World Service Trust at the time. At the moment, it's the BBC Media Action. Nobody asked me about my health, so it wasn't a piece of information. I just randomly volunteered. I got the job. My next job after that, I worked on a USAID-funded project in Nasarawa State. Nobody asked me about my health. I didn't volunteer the information. I got the job. After that, I headed a small NGO, a local NGO here in Abuja. Nobody asked me about my health status. I didn't volunteer the information. And then after that, I worked on a World Health Organization, World Bank assisted project. Again, my health was not something that anybody asked me about during the interview, so I didn't volunteer the information. I got the job. So, but I guess in other instances where if it's a direct, do you have any health issues you'd like to share with us? Oh, of course, I'd mention it, but that never came up. I got all the jobs I, ever attended an interview for. In fact, at a point, I started getting big-headed about it. I was like, please don't call me for an interview. I'm going to nail the job. So for me, that was never an issue, but I do realize that it would probably be for other people. It was not my reality. I didn't face such challenges. And even during the course of work, when people came to realize, that, oh, I have this challenge, so I got the support I needed to do the work I needed to do. And I was fine. But in my relationship life, there'll be, back then when I was still single, on a number of occasions, you're just sitting with somebody, in the early days, you're just hanging out, trying to know each other before you decide if you want to date or not. And on one or two occasions, purely by, you're just gisting and somebody's like, I can't stand sickness. Because, and that happened to me like twice. And the person was, we were just talking randomly, and that came up. I can't stand. They're so always talking about how sick they are and how on all this, that, and the other. And I laughed and laughed and laughed. No, seriously, I can't stand it. And I didn't say anything. We continued hanging out for a while. So when the guy eventually got round to actually asking me out, and I said, well, I don't think it'll work. He's like, no, I really enjoy your company. I like you. I said, I like you as a friend. We can stay friends, but I don't want to. Why? I said, well, you did say you don't like sicklers, as that was the common term back then, yes. And I happen to be one. So I don't know how. Oh, hi, but you don't look it. You guys have they have a look and everything. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, right. I said, but since that is something that's really, because you really went on about it, I said, I can't get over how negatively you spoke about it, and I always feel some type of way, so let's just be friends and all that. So relationships, yeah. And then sometimes family members, some people think you have a friend and they're scared that they think it's a cough.
Really?
Yeah,
that can be.
Is it contagious?
Are you serious?
And things like that. But I think that those
it really
things
shows they're not educated enough.
Yeah, so there's a bit of ignorance going on around that, but it's not something I ever found hurtful per se. Maybe because I grew up in a home where my mother was a nurse. So from when I was a small child, they never hid it. It was very common knowledge. So I also grew up not hiding it. That's not the first thing I'll tell you about myself. But at some point, if we're friends or if you're around me, I'll definitely release the information. So that if I get sick or something, you won't be speculating and wondering what's wrong. You'll know exactly what's up with me. So I grew up in a home where my parents were very open with the information. I also never hid it and so on. So I've not experienced too much discrimination or stigma, just a little bit of it here and there. And I remember when I first started advocacy many years ago, a friend of mine told me I was feeling cool about being sick. I didn't know whether to be amused or what. I was like, why would you say that? But the person was really like, no, you are feeling so cool about being sick. And I'm sorry, but that made me take several steps back. It made me feel like, do people think
it's a joy?
It's a joy. It's something I like or something. Yeah. So it really made me step back. So I've experienced things like that, but not ordinarily anything that keeps me awake at night.
It's better that way. Hafiz, I would like to share your own story a little bit. And I know you're married.
Yes.
And you have children. Yes. Was it that easy to woo your wife? When she found out, how did she feel?
The truth is, I'm not. If I think about it, most times I'm like, okay, I'm still married. Okay.
When are you going to think that you won't be married after a while?
I mean, because like she said, relationships were headaches. Even if you get anybody to go out with you by telling them that you're a warrior and everything. And I was somebody that I didn't tell people. I never did. But probably my close friends, probably my roommates and everything. And that was because, like she said, if anything happens and everything, so they can be able to rush you to the hospital and all that. So probably my one was more of when I get into the relationship proper and everything, I just somehow believe that I might not go into crisis in the relationship. So I try to view, that and assume that miracles could happen and everything, but it didn't work like that. But the thing was, I had several relationships that made hearing that that's the end of that relationship. It's done and everything. And my wife, actually, the time I was asking her out, I was doing it as a joke. Like, I didn't want any disappointment. So that it won't be like, oh, I can't go out with you, and I won't be heartbroken. Because as at that time, she was actually in a relationship as well. And the brother was someone I was staying with and very close with when I was in the UK. So he was someone that assisted in the whole wooing. He asked her, and she said, no, it cannot work because I have somebody. But the good thing was that even when she got around to say, okay, fine, I'll do it and everything, it wasn't out of sympathy or anything. Because when she told her family, I was actually afraid of the family mostly. But they were the ones that surprised me the most. They were like, okay, it's sickle cell, fine. If you are okay with that, then because you're the one that's going to get married to him. So at the end of the day, it's your choice. If you're okay with it, then we will support you and everything. And the incredible thing is that the family are amazing people. No judgment, none of that from them. I know. So she's an incredible woman as well. We have 2 kids, one on the way as well. So
one on the way.
Yeah.
This guy is not talking about anybody.
So,
That's nice.
I know
Congratulations.
that the one on the way was more of women. Oh God. But yes. But in terms of discrimination, I think that's basically what the issue is. Especially, you guys actually got lucky with your jobs, because usually organizations, companies don't employ sickle cell warriors.
Really?
Yes. They don't. They just feel it's mismanagement, it's a waste, because they know the back and forth hospital and everything, so they feel there are lapses.
Oh, I've never taken it for granted. I just know I have the devil's luck.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know what it is.
It's luck, so
Somebody actually wrote, he said, Devon, you weren't asked about your health status because you look healthy, right? Probably that's why you were switching job.
exactly. So
I guess.
I mean, especially it's even common in the US and in the UK. They have these petitions going on how they need to treat sickle cell warriors, in the workplace and everything. So it's something that is there. It's just that's why you see a lot of warriors are self-employed. They have their own businesses because they know they could get up to do it anytime they want, and they can employ people to actually do the job for them. So that's that. And I think that's basically it. Then, like you said, the hospital thing, and when you get to the hospital, that is the worst.
That is the worst?
Yes.
That's supposed to be a relief place.
So, I mean, I am somebody that's, I think for 3 years or more now, I have stopped going to the hospital.
For 3 years?
Yes.
So how
Why?
do you cope?
Because I can't stand them.
What's the challenge really? I want to
The
understand.
challenge is you're meant to go to the hospital, right? To
Yes.
get the relief, the care, the attention and everything. But you get there and you're being
Pain.
discriminated on. Now, a doctor comes to you and you tell the doctor, okay, I'm in pain. And the thing with most warriors is that we can handle pains.
Yeah.
In terms of not showing it.
I almost died one day because I was being strong.
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but the nurse de-escalated what was up with me.
Because you weren't shouting?
Because I wasn't screaming and rolling on the floor. Meanwhile, I was almost passing out with pain. It was when the doctor, who is more familiar with my case, came in. He screamed, "Why is she still sitting here? Why haven't you done this?" "Oh, she doesn't look agitated." That was the most frustrating thing I've ever, because I was sitting there literally doing what I could not. I mean, there are times when you're in so much pain that even to gasp, you are frightened because you feel as if it will escalate the pain. So I was sitting there controlling every last fiber of my being, and this woman had, deprioritized my situation to attend to people who were coming in with headaches and leg pains and this, that, and the other. And the doctor almost had a fit when he came in and saw me sitting there. "Oh, she didn't know. Sorry.
No, I mean, that's it. Like, we don't show pain, but the thing is, we are dying, you get, and they stroll in, they do whatever, and when you ask, okay, I need my pain meds. Now, they come in with this concept or this idea that you're not supposed to take certain medications. And I'm like, okay, you're right, but I've been on this journey now, so I know what works for me. I know what I'm allergic to, and I know what won't waste our time together. And the next thing that comes out from a medical practitioner's mouth is, "Oh, it's because you're a junkie, you're a drug addict.
Oh,
you're just here.
I've never experienced
You're
that.
just here to get drugs and everything." Yes.
I've not experienced that.
I spoke to someone recently that just pulled her daughter out of the hospital. The same thing happened to her in front of the mom. The mom was the one that was telling me that this was what she went through. And she was like, you could see that she's in pain. You could see that she's suffering, and you could dare call her that. That happens. And it is the worst, truthfully. So, yeah, I mean, that's there.
All right, it's heart touching.
I think I share what Afis said, but I have a slight view of it that, yes, when you go through such abuse, that's what I'll call it now, what do you do?
Okay.
To me, I've had 1 or 2 incidents like that in one of the hospitals I do attend. Of course, things were rectified for me. And in Abuja today, the only hospital I always recommend is that, oh, you have this, better you go to National Hospital. Yes, many people will say complain about National Hospital, but for me, it works for me. And this is what I do. National Hospital have this Savicom unit.
Where you can report.
Exactly. That unit, to me, it works perfectly well. Except that maybe among us, sometimes you feel so frustrated, let me just go back. Some doctors could be nasty. I remember one incident.
Someone actually wrote this and they say some doctors are wicked, especially
Honestly.
when they come to sickle cell
Honestly,
disorder.
I
don't know
was
the
in
person.
crisis. I went to the emergency. Normally, what I normally do before I get there, I have my own contact that I will call the wait for. But in this case, I just went there. That doctor on duty that day was on call for almost 20-30 minutes, and I was in front
On a
of
phone call?
Yes, I was there in pains, and when he finished, what he asked me, what's your problem? I said, I'm in crisis. Can you imagine what the reply was? Said, financial crisis.
The joke.
That's,
Yes.
The joke.
I just look at this person that I was not in that combative mood that day. Because the truth is, for me, I don't take things like that for granted. If it is up to Nigerian Medical Council, honestly, I will write. Because I've had incidents that I've reported doctors like that, and actions were taken. So when issues like this come up, when discussion like this come up, I always like to use that on opportunity. Like, look, fellow warriors, when you are going through any abuse like this, please don't keep quiet. Report to the appropriate authority. That
Because
one is very important.
How
Yes.
many do you want to report? That is one. How many want to fight back?
No, I still think that in line with the theme of the celebration, if we shine the light on the bad ones, if it's a collective effort, there are human rights activists who will carry it up. If everybody reports, their problem, together we can actually begin to, because if Devon is complaining, this person is complaining, the other person is complaining, ears will begin to listen. Yes. And that complaint may not just be for you who is passing through it at a time, because from your exposure you're able to handle things for yourself. It could be for that poor girl, for that poor boy who does not know what to do. You begin to pave way for that person. I sincerely think you're in line. We should be able to report these issues. Now, before I start battling or fighting with my director for time, I'd like to know, quite specifically, I am not, a warrior in that capacity, but I'm also a warrior in my own capacity. If I am with somebody like that, and what should I notice as a change, as a colleague? What should be my first response to the person? And what will even tell me, okay, this person is not just being lazy. The person has a battle, and I need to work.
Well, I would say that, and this is one thing I'll be eternally grateful to NTA for, especially the people that I worked closely with. My boss at the time, Mr. Walekuka, Madam Bola Oyeyemi, and so on. If somebody who is genotype SS comes to you and tells you, I am not feeling well, regardless of how healthy and composed and whatever they look in that moment, take it seriously. Because, like they said, the default setting is to try to appear as healthy and as strong as possible all the time. You don't want to be associated with, you try hard not to be associated with being frail and weak and this, that, and the other. So usually, even when you're feeling poorly, you drag yourself to the office. Mm-hmm. Now, it's when you begin to realize that, okay, coming to the office today was a mistake. I really should have just made a phone call and told them today isn't going to happen for me. I recall one particular Saturday, back then I was handling Saturday morning. Saturday morning. I was anchoring the program that day. I woke up. I'd taken my bath. I was perfectly fine through the night. I woke up. I was okay. I took my bath. I got dressed. I was just making up when this nasty pain shot through my spine. And if that pain had occurred in a limb or anywhere else, I'd have taken the chance and knocked the program off and then taken care of myself. But you see, once I feel that tingling sensation in my spine, I know it's bad news. I considered, will I be able to sit on TV and just power through, just try, just... And with each passing moment, it intensified. It was like 8:45, I think. I picked up the phone, I called, I said, I won't be able to make it. I'm sorry. She had to quickly, you know, I'm sure she didn't even come to the office prepared that day to anchor the program. She was meant to direct. She had to anchor the program herself. But I wound up, you know, having a bed for 3 nights in hospital.
All right.
Trying to manage the pain. So the thing is, if somebody comes and communicates to you that they are not feeling well, no, regardless of how they look, just take it seriously.
I quite agree with you, because a lot of times I'm actually down myself, and we use a lot of makeup to brighten up and make sure that people don't get to know, because it's not their business, but it's also their business. On a very parting note, very short, you didn't give me the name of that book.
The name of the book is I Am a Survivor.
I Am a Survivor.
The story of my triumph over sickle cell pains.
Okay.
Yes.
And you say
it's going to be launched this Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
So I'm expecting that more money will come out and we'll use it to help the other people who
more
are
warriors,
not.
definitely.
What's the title of your film? I want to go and watch it.
The Journey of the S.
The Journey of the
S.
S.
Yes.
S as in just one S?
The letter S.
The letter S.
Oh, okay. That's nice. Journey of the S. Let's quickly take 1 or 2 messages. We've been talking. We weren't able to do that. Good morning, please. How do you cope that over 3 years you have not been in the hospital? How do you treat yourself then? Please tell us. Okay, I think you tried to answer that question. I asked it immediately.
Oh, yes.
And it says in a book form, because most people have died, do a lot of abbreviations, but I think basically say go to hospital. Please, rich Nigerians, it should help out as well. They say you guys are good companions and courageous. May God bless us all. Another person from the WhatsApp says, NTA, I like your program. Thank you very much. I can't take too much because of our time, but I would like us to leave with just, if it's just a sentence of encouragement to everybody who is watching us here. There are mothers who have this issue battling. Just a sentence.
Well, I would like to say to the whole society that sickle cell diseases or sickle cell disorder is not a death sentence. So that's the...
Okay,
Hafiz?
I mean, I would say to every warrior, every fighter, regardless of what you're battling, keep fighting, keep living, and keep hoping.
Okay, and you must rest. It's not until you die. Rest. Okay, so...
And I particularly want to talk to our spouses, our partners, caregivers. Don't get tired. Yes. We love you very much, and we appreciate your effort and your sacrifices.
Thank you very much. And Conversation loves you awesomely so too. So see you again next week, and continue to be strong.
Revision classes on television for students in secondary schools in English and mathematics will commence on the NTA. The revision classes will transmit Mondays to Fridays from 5 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on the network service of the NTA. This is organized in preparation for the various national examinations and orders. This is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Education.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk. App
Hello, good morning. Welcome to the news on NTA News 24. Coming to you live from NTA here in Abuja. Musbad and Wahab is my name, and welcome to the news. Let's take the headlines. President Buhari flags off work for NLNG Train 7 plant project in Bonny Island. Vice President Osinbajo cruises in first made in Nigeria electric car commends ingenuity.
Very good, fantastic drive, and really smooth, really smooth. I think it just shows what is possible, and I'm glad to see that this is a Nigerian-made electric car.
Achieving growth and development, World Bank pledges continued partnership with Nigeria. Thanks a lot for staying tuned in. Now let's start from the State House, as President Muhammadu Buhari has spoken of the need for countries in the West African sub-region and the Sahel bedeviled by challenges of security to team up and confront the menace. The President stated these while receiving the new Special Representative of the UN Secretary General for West Africa and the Sahel, Mohamed Saleh Anadif. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
Mohamed Saleh Anadif, a Chadian, took over from Mohammed Ibn Chambers, who served in the same capacity for 7 years. Mr. Anadif told President Muhammadu Buhari that he is visiting Nigeria shortly after his appointment because he recognized the crucial role of Nigeria in West Africa. He says he is quite familiar with the problems of the Sahel region and would depend on the help of Nigeria to succeed. President Muhammadu Buhari expresses the belief that the United Nations Special Representative has vast experience on matters affecting the region, having served for 5 years in Mali. He hopes that Mr. Anadif will get the countries in the sub-region to work together towards confronting the issues affecting them. Describing the problems as enormous, the president knows that Boko Haram in particular has inflicted heavy toll in terms of lives and resources in Nigeria and some neighboring countries, while Mali has a large swath of the country occupied by militants. The president pledges the assistance of Nigeria to the special representative to enable him get the problem sorted out and achieve the desired success in his assignment. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
In another development, the federal government has promised to sustain efforts at boosting the development of Nigeria's abundant gas resources, strengthening the gas value chain, developing the much-needed infrastructure, and enhancing safe operations in the sector as outlined in the National Gas Policy of 2017. President Muhammadu Buhari made a promise during a virtual groundbreaking ceremony of NLNG Train 7 project in Bonny, River State. Again, State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The story of Nigerian LNG is one I have been passionately associated with during the formative years of the LNG project. As Minister of Petroleum Resources, I kicked off our first foray in LNG business in 1978.
From just one project in the early 90s, President Muhammadu Buhari described as delightful that the LNG has now been transformed into a very successful company, providing responsible operations and steadily supplying, amongst others, liquefied natural gas and liquefied petroleum gas into the global market. This, he said, is proof that Nigeria has great capacity to deliver value to the world by harnessing her natural resources.
I am proud that NLNG, as a pioneer of LNG company in Nigeria, has conscientiously proven the viability of the gas sector over the years, currently contributing about 1% to our country's GDP. NLNG has generated 114 billion United States dollars in revenues over the years, 39 billion United States dollars in taxes, 18 billion United States dollars in dividends to the federal government, and 15 billion United States dollars in feed gas purchase. These are commendable accomplishments by a company's 100% Nigerian management team.
With this level of performance, the president hopes that the Nigeria LNG continues to grow to effectively position the country to thrive through the energy transition. The commencement of work on the construction of the Train 7 project, he said, is a further indication that a Nigerian company can operate a world-class business.
I look forward to the development and execution of more gas projects by the international oil companies and the indigenous operators, and more trains from Nigeria LNG to harness the over 600 trillion cubic feet of proven gas reserves we are endowed with. I hereby urge the Board of Directors, management and staff of LNG, the host communities, the River State government, and agencies of the federal government to continue to collaborate to ensure completion and eventual commissioning of the Train 7 project safely and on time so that Train 8 can start.
The president, who thanked foreign investors for the confidence reposed in Nigeria, promised that the federal government will continue to create the enabling environment towards developing the sector and bringing the full benefits of gas closer to the people of Nigeria. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Away from the State House, the World Bank says it will continue to partner Nigeria to see through reforms that will prepare growth and development in the country. Leah Katun Babatunde reports that the financial institution also advised on deeper fiscal and monetary policy engagements targeted at uplifting the poor and reducing costs to free resources for development.
The World Bank produces the Nigeria Development Update NDU twice a year, and in line with that tradition, the June 2021 report is themed Resilience Through Reforms. It assesses recent economic and social development prospects in Nigeria. Rising inflation, protecting the poor, job creation, exchange rates, and the almighty subsidies on power and petrol all featured prominently as Nigeria trunks on the post-COVID-19 recovery path.
If there must be subsidy, it is the poorest of the poor that should be subsidized, not the rich. Because the programs that we currently have, we are subsidizing the rich.
There have to be means to cushion, help ordinary Nigerians absorb the impact of that. And the immediate, most promising way of doing so would be to think about direct cash transfers for, not for everyone, but for the poorest Nigerians, the working class, low-income Nigerians who are feeling the pinch.
How we're going to break this chain of dependency that you're talking about. It is partnership with the private sector. It is greater transparency on the part of government. It is reduction of cost of governance. And it is really understanding on the part of our people that Nigeria is not this boundlessly rich country.
More than 1.2 trillion naira is being spent on petrol subsidies annually, with 520 billion naira spent on power just last year. These resources, panelists say, can be better channeled to cater to the needs of the poor and address developmental necessities.
The private sector needs to do a lot more in winning trust. The public sector needs to be a bit more broad-minded in understanding the thinking of the private sector.
Immediate policies, for example, that tackle excise taxes for sin goods, we're talking alcohol, cigarettes, sugary drinks, for instance, could be one way to mobilize revenues in the short term.
In bridging the inequality gap, they suggest stronger communication between the government and the people, stronger policy and regulatory environment, improved operational efficiencies, and Infrastructure Development in Abuja. Leah Katungbaba today, NTA News.
Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, says it will partner with its Gambian counterpart to strengthen macroeconomic policies and framework needed for development of the two countries. This was a fallout of a visit by delegation of Gambian Central Bank to the CBN. Musa Abubakar reports.
It's a bankers' bank meeting of two countries of West Africa, the Central Bank of the Gambia and that of Nigeria. The visiting Apex Bank delegation are on a study tour to share and tap from Nigeria's expertise on areas ranging from foreign exchange management, banking supervision, currency management, and cybersecurity, amongst areas critical to growing the economy.
Also be of assistance in printing your currency, and I can assure you that we can be extremely competitive, if only from a standpoint of logistics and freight. Yes. From Europe. It's just going to be a few hours from here to Gambia and the rest of them. So I think we can share ideas, we can share about how we can help ourselves. And whether we like it or not, we must put our foot forward first to help our country before expecting others to come help us. And that is a mantra that our president has adopted, and that is what we are following through on.
Cyber is an area that we are interested in. Fintech also is a new area, how you do supervision and regulation in that area, stress testing. And also, we want to learn from you how you move from Basel I to Basel II and III.
The two-day engagement will enable both Apex banks share knowledge and experience vital for strengthening the macroeconomic environment. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
Away from financial reports, the saying that road safety is everybody's business this Tuesday was further emphasized as the Federal Road Safety Corps added a national traffic radio station to its efforts at ensuring that safety returns to the nation's highways. Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who inaugurated the station, says Nigerians will now be well informed on road traffic situations before or while traveling. Jide Onifade reports.
Accurate traffic reporter updating you on the traffic situation across the nation. So let's go to the Federal Capital Territory.
That was Vice President Yemi Osinbajo updating residents of Abuja and its environ on the traffic situation in the Federal Capital Territory. It is the first voice from a top government official on the newly inaugurated Road Safety Corps National Traffic Radio 107.1 FM, Abuja.
It will be useful in broadcasting information on safety and security. It can even be used to reach far-flung areas for teaching and dissemination of public health advisories and information. So I really think that the vision and the resourcefulness of the leadership of the FRSC ought to be commended.
The Vice President was accompanied by Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, the FCT Minister Muhammad Musa Bello, and other stakeholders, and were all led on inspection of the data center and the observatory by Corps Marshal Boboye Oyeyemi.
Every hour we give the traffic situation nationwide and the crash situations too, and we also encourage road users as you are traveling. If you see a broken down vehicle or a crash or anything that is happening, you can call the toll-free 122 or you call straight to the traffic radio studio. And is to get the public to be involved in road safety management like this.
It would be recalled that the Vice President recently inaugurated a Federal Road Safety Corps Marshal Inspectorate Training School in Owalero, Delta State, all in a bid to further strengthen efforts at improving road safety on the nation's highways. In Abuja, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
This is News at 10, broadcast live on NTA News 24. We have more reports ahead. In just a moment, stay with us. Thanks a lot for sticking around. Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo Tuesday declared open a 5-day exhibition of made in Nigeria goods and services, describing the product as pride of a nation. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports that the Vice President of the event test drove the first made in Nigeria electric car.
The exhibition, organized by the Interministerial Committee on Nigeria at 60, in collaboration with other stakeholders in the manufacturing and trade sector, had various made-in-Nigerian products on display, especially packaged food products. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo had one-on-one interaction with the exhibitors and commends them for their commitment and the quality of the goods on display. Vice President Osinbajo also rides in one of the Nigerian assembled electric cars on display at the exhibition, produced with 75% local materials.
Very good, fantastic drive, and really smooth, really smooth. I think it just shows what is possible, and I'm glad to see that this is a Nigerian-made electric car. And you can literally charge it anywhere. So I think it's a very, very fantastic innovation and fantastic product. And I can tell you because I drove it.
The manufacturing sector in Nigeria has been performing well in recent years as compared to the past. The government is beginning to show greater interest and provide more support for local production in order to encourage the growth of local industries.
And in a virtual address, Director General of the World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, says the world is waiting for Nigerians to compete in the world trade market.
The past 2 years, especially in this government, it's been improved tremendously. We'll be given visibility, support, help in training, in technical support, and most especially even on the social media. And for that, we are entirely grateful.
Well, the Vice President said it. Nigeria is now ready for the rest of the world. Jide Onifade, NT News.
The recent investigative sitting by the House Ad hoc Committee on Status of the Nigerian Recovered Funds centered on whether or not the Office of the National Security Advisor should source money from the recovered funds and the recovery operation by the Nigeria Police Force. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu has a report on the clarification by the agencies involved.
It is a continuous assessment of all recovered funds, both movable and immovable assets from year 2002 to 2020. Submissions were made by relevant agencies on various issues during the investigation geared towards ensuring efficiency in the management of public funds. They include a report on foreign bank accounts owned by the NSA office and 61 billion naira which was reported to have been returned to NSA bank account.
Okay, so why did you refund? Why we returned the money? Because that company, as at that time, was under investigation. So when we saw that what they call the release money for their payments, actually they have a valid contract. I checked the contract documents and I draw the attention of the NSA. So I said, what do you call, well, this company, they are under investigation that time. So he said the fact that they are under investigation, that we should return the money back to the treasury. And that was what happened.
When the suspect is arraigned, it becomes a exhibit of the court. The place it will be depends on the judge's discretion.
All payments are made on the basis of approval, sir. We don't arbitrarily pay money from any source.
Of the issues investigated by the committee were the Ikoyi recovered funds and details of the Nigerian police recovery within the period under review.
There will be transparency that will ensure that things that are wasted needs to be put together and turned into assets.
The committee resolved to invite the Accountant General of the Federation and Committee on Arms and Defense Equipment Procurement for further explanations. From the National Assembly, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
Away from the National Assembly, the federal government is implementing the frameworks of the National Economic Sustainability and the country's Agricultural Technology and Innovation Plan as a strategy to boost food production in the country. This was made known at the 44th regular meeting of the National Council on Agriculture and Rural Development in Abuja.
Sustainable food production is a necessity for any nation to develop, especially for a country like Nigeria, with an estimated population of 200 million people. To realize the country's agricultural potentials, stakeholders from various agricultural institutions, states agricultural directors and permanent secretaries across the country are interacting to see how to consolidate government efforts on agricultural initiatives for the socio-economic development of the country and to attain food security.
Our collective activities are therefore centered on enhancing research applications, machinery utilization, extension services, input access, affordable credits, commodity output, processing capacity, market access, and revenue earnings.
With Nigeria's food imports dropping to 8%, the country is still spending billions of dollars in importing food items, especially wheat and dairy products. This, stakeholders say, can be reduced significantly if the public sector invests more in agriculture.
Improving technology in agriculture so that few people can produce a lot of agricultural products.
So what we're focusing on right now is just making sure that the policies that we have moving forward are synergistic, they're dynamic, and they're resilient.
With the theme, Nigeria's agriculture and food security in the face of COVID-19, floods and insecurity, the meeting is expected to come up with policies that will complement government's effort in attaining food security in the country.
Nigerian manufacturers inch development of a sector on level of patronage of locally made goods. We join Kunle Adeyeye for details of this on our business package.
Exhibitors at the ongoing Made in Nigeria Expo to mark Nigeria at 60 have expressed optimism that the country will experience unprecedented growth in the quest for local content development if more Nigerians patronize locally made goods and services. The expo, which is witnessing the display of various locally made products, continues till June 19 in Abuja.
We don't have to patronize foreign products. We are rich now, our culture is rich, our land is blessed, so we need to start encouraging Nigerian grown products. These products can compete anywhere in the world. We have good packaging, and the product inside, the content is superb. I'm sure of that.
Most things are being imported because we feel we don't have capacity to carry out what we actually do. So if we buy from ourselves and we have money to produce more, if we can produce more, it will improve the economy.
And to the details of Tuesday's tradings on the floor of the exchange. With business news, I'm Kunle Adeyeye.
Well, not done with business yet. The 135th meeting of Economy Commission Board of OPEC held via video conference. The board is the economic and technical think tank of the organization. The two-day meeting will conduct a review of the global oil markets and the world economy at large, as well as address key topics relevant to the energy industry, such as investment, recovery, expectations, and short and long-term prospects of crude oil production. OPEC Secretary General Mohammed Sanusi Barakindo declared open the meeting by highlighting the vital and critical role of the board in enriching the organization's decision-making process through a thorough and detailed analysis of market conditions and emerging trends. The Secretary General underscored the importance of a Secretariat outreach effort to strengthen the producers-consumer dialogue and share the latest market insights in the interest of sustainable oil market stability. He reiterated the strategic role of a declaration of cooperation in overcoming two global oil cycle downturns in 2015 and 2020, the latter caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, noting that participating countries have set up solid mechanisms to contribute to the return of oil market stability. This includes meeting on a monthly basis to review market conditions. The 135th meeting of Economy Commission Board is convening ahead of the 9th Technical Committee of OPEC and non-OPEC countries participating in the Declaration of Cooperation. This is still the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Let's take a break. More news in just a moment. Stay with us.
NTA, you can't beat the reach. Revision classes on television for students in secondary schools in English and mathematics will commence on the NTA. Wednesday, 16th June 2021, the revision classes will transmit Mondays to Fridays from 5 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on the network service of the NTA. This is organized in preparation for the various national examinations and orders. This is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Education.
I never get this kind of thing, or I hear it.
There was this broadcast on villa updates, which I'm part of, and I got the information there that we should apply for survivor fund.
I thought it was a scam, but truly it wasn't a scam.
To my great surprise, we actually got a lot of 30,000. I have 5 staff, including the vacancies. We got a lot of 30,000. Like 3 weeks later, this is the first time I'm getting anything from this government. Even from past governments, I have never gotten anything from them.
It was a great relief for us because during the COVID-19, things were so tough.
I really thank the government for this great gesture because it has helped a lot.